but we were able to make a copy of these copies of what's called the International Pilgrim Statue. I don't know if you heard about the statue. When Sister Lucy saw the apparitions at Fatima, saw Our Lady, she commissioned the artist to make 4 statues. So she actually said that this statue was the statue that looked most like Our Lady. One statue, she wanted all these statues to travel throughout the world to spread the message to Fatima. One of the statues traveled throughout the world and went to Russia, but in Russia it disappeared. One statue traveled around, and now it stays in Fatima. So if you have the possibility of going to Fatima, you'll be able to see that statue still there. That's one of the 4. And then this is the 3rd statue, the original statue. That statue still continues to travel around the entire world. It normally doesn't stay in a country for less than 10 days. So that's how fast it travels around. Now, back in 1972, when it was staying in New Orleans at a convent, it started to cry miraculously. That's why we call it the miraculous statue. So that it was tested. There was priests and scientists there that saw that this was a wooden statue that is crying. Wow. And actually, some people, they got the idea to take their handkerchiefs and they soaked up some of the tears. And they sent it to NASA, the handkerchiefs to NASA, Florida. They said, tell us what this liquid is. And NASA said, well, give us the story first. And they said, no, tell us what this liquid is. Okay, so they did the test, and about a few days later, they returned the handkerchiefs, and they said, these are human tears of female origin.
Oh, wow.
And they said, okay, give us the story. And they said, well, we have a statue here that's been crying on and off for 2 weeks. And they said, sure, but at that point they had already determined that the statue they had proved themselves that the statue had been crying real human tears. Now, because that statue is traveling throughout the world, naturally it gets worn and such. Came back from the Philippines, her hands were severely damaged and such. So for the miraculous statue, someone needs to repair the statue. So more or less about once a year, that statue that cried comes back to Herndon, to the school, to the workshop, to be repaired by the artist there. And because we have we were doing this, they allowed us to make 12 copies of that statue. This is one of the copies. We did change the statue a little bit so that you could tell the difference. Like on the original, had notching on the gold here. On the copies, we decided not to. There are a couple other details just to make sure that people didn't confuse them. But we used these copies to continue what Sister Lucy asked, which was that the message of Fatima be spread throughout the world as much as possible, continuously, without stopping. Now, a lot of people ask, why was Our Lady crying in New Orleans in the first place? Well, it was 1973 or 1972. So one thing that definitely comes to mind is Roe versus Wade, which was starting at that time. We have the decision in 1973 to approve abortion in the U.S. But also at that time, a whole wave homosexuality was beginning to spread rapidly through the U.S. Also, in the early 70s, blasphemy was starting to target Our Lady. So we had these people that, for no reason or because of hatred, they enjoy attacking the Catholic Church, but particularly the virginity of Our Lady. It's because of this that American Needs Fatima is the largest anti-blasphemy network in the U.S. So when you see a blasphemy, let us know, and we will definitely protest it. One of our present ones is YouTube with the desecration of the Blessed Sacrament that you probably heard of. One of our biggest protests was the Da Vinci Code. We were able to organize 2,000 protests at theaters, and not only our primary reason is to give consolation to Our Lady, because she is suffering these blows And as Catholics, we can't just say, well, it doesn't affect me, so I'm not going to do anything. We have to. We have to defend our mother. So that's what we did. But also, what the Da Vinci Code rallies did is it gave Catholics an opportunity to be out in public and say, look, we're Catholics, and again, we're not afraid to say that we have rights too. We need to be respected as well. And that happened in more cases in places where there was a lot of persecution. So like in Las Vegas, there's 12 theaters. Guess how many protests there were? There was 12 protests. There was one protest at each theater that was showing the Da Vinci Code. And when I heard that, that blew my mind, because I didn't even think that 12 Catholics could live in Las Vegas. But they were given the opportunity to be out there. And it's because of that success that when the 90th anniversary of Our Lady of Fatima came, we decided to do the Rosary Rallies. So we were shooting for 2,000, but Our Lady was able to give us 3,000 rosaries throughout the US. And we repeated that today, and we got, this past October, we were able to get 3,445 rosaries throughout the US. And again, Hollywood, one of the places that popped up was this prayer group that's there. The intention of the prayer group was to do reparation for all the sins of Hollywood. When they heard about the Rosary Rallies, public square Rosary Rallies, they said, what a great idea, we're already saying the Rosary, why don't we just say it in public? And I was reading some of what they said, and they said, but then we started thinking, that means being in front of people that we know, they're going to be looking at us, and we're not inside our hall that we use anymore. And they said, well, Our Lady needs the constellation, Our Lady deserves it, we're going to do it. And now they do it every month. And they do it right there on the Boulevard of Stars, where the stars put their hands. They do it right there every month. So just like Las Vegas, these people are able to get a chance to stand up, and the courage. Now we are marking the 91st anniversary this year, and someone could probably ask, well, since the message of Fatima is 91 years old, why is it still important? Shouldn't we move on? Shouldn't Our Lady of Fatima be in a museum? It's a very nice story, but why is it still important today? Sister Lucy did ask for it to be spread, but 91 years is a long time. So to explain why the Fatima message is still important, we have a short DVD presentation, probably 25 minutes or so, which explains what was happening to the world at the time of the Fatima message, because that will give us the groundwork to understand why Our Lady came at that point to give the Fatima message, where Our Lady told 3 children in Fatima, and why that Fatima message, what it is, and why it's still important today. But before we do that, I'd like to ask our host if she could crown the statue of Our Lady, Queen of your home.
Beautiful.
You have a rosary for the hands as well?
No, not beautiful.
Thank you.